Hello everybody, welcome to John McCoy Art. I'm illustrator John McCoy and you're watching part 3 of our Andrew Loomis Fun with a Pencil Learning How to Draw. So basically, I'm learning how to draw and you are welcome to come along and bring a sketchbook, and we're going to continue where we left off in what we've learned so far in the first 2 videos. We started with this page. We did some more iterations in the second video. And now you can see there are many more iterations that Andrew Loomis would like us to do as far as how to learn this. What we're learning upon is basically the sphere. Okay, so instead of going over too much in these iterations, I want to advance a little bit and move on to talking about the sphere. So the sphere was obviously a shape, a three-dimensional shape. And the way we can understand things is we can break them down into shapes. When we're talking about drawing and we're drawing something and representing it, we can understand it using shape. And as far as I can't think of any other illustrator that can represent so well how to construct a face by starting with a sphere. And what he's doing is advancing upon it. In the beginning, right, we had spheres that were more like lopsided and strange and stuff like that, but now we're advancing a little bit and we're understanding. He calls this the Blook ball. So basically, when in Andrew Loomis's Fun with a Pencil, he has a little character called Professor Blook that kind of guides you through the book, and that character is the one talking throughout the book. So basically, we're moving on with a more advanced structure, which is a more realistic sphere. And I'm going to fast forward a little bit through these spheres. You guys can practice some spheres like this that show these axes. So basically, if you think in terms of three-dimensional space, you have a horizontal plane. A good way to think of it is as a cube. So you have like a cube here, and it has all of these faces. This is a face that's facing you, a side face, and a top face. Well, there's a horizontal plane, which is like this, and then there is a vertical axis that goes this way. Now we've established 3 lines of axis, and this would continue in this way, this would continue in this way. So this is three-dimensional space. Basically, the same thing is projected when you add a sphere to that. So if you bring the sphere, it has an axis that can be traced over the sphere. And it has a horizontal axis that can be traced over the sphere, and so forth. And you can imagine if you took a slice out of the sphere, you would have description of form, basically, in terms of the axes, how they are projected over the sphere, which is basically where Andrew Loomis is guiding us with the sphere. So we're going to start with these iterations. You guys can practice this in your own time. This shows how you can see through the sphere. We're already at 3 minutes. So we're going to get drawing, and we're going to go with this line that he's talking about. And I'll just start up here so that we have more room for the next page. In this case, I think he wants us to try to draw as accurately as possible of what we're seeing. Okay, so that's that one axis of the sphere already laid down. Then he's got a horizontal axis that goes like this, and that curves around. And then he starts to add these shapes. So he's got the front pieces of the nose right here, these little forms, and then the nose goes off the sphere like this. And then he starts to draw these little forms and so forth. And then the ear, he kind of draws a rough line here, and then draws the ear as well right here. Then I'll also do the next iteration of this sphere. He draws another one. He roughs in that vertical, or the vertical line, which is in the front plane of the face. And then he does that horizontal line. And we do the same thing. We put the nose in there. And these characters are goofy. They're not super realistic, but that's a fun way of understanding how to draw a face by not overemphasizing on realism, but more so symmetry, and how to put the eyes on either side of this center line, which is the front plane of the face. And these characters have these nice little smiles and chins and stuff like that, which is a great way to learn, because it takes the emphasis and focus off of perfectionism and more on the form and what are we supposed to be learning here. Again, echoing that side vertical plane to put kind of like a beginning point for the ear, like that. And then roughing in those eyebrows. He's drawn this little line here to show like the top axis of the ball, which kind of shows you the angle of the ball as well. So if that line continued, it would go through here and out that way. And so now we're going to go on with one more iteration right here. So we'll rough in that sphere, and then we'll draw the midline, of course. And then we'll rough in that nose. And the more times you draw it, the more you memorize, like how would I construct this face? It becomes like a language, basically. And a lot of artists use Andrew Loomis's techniques in this way, that they understand how to construct a face using the sphere, and that line, where you put these lines, allow you to plan out. Make sure we get that horizontal line there, and a little starting point of the ear, and of course a little gesture point. So now on top of this one, before we go on to the next page, we're going to ink in some of these lines that he's put here over top of this. So he's emphasizing what he wants to emphasize, which is basically defining the features of the face. He's actually added this line on here, which is like a bag under the eye. He's defined the borders of the eye and made it looking to the side for both eyes, which gives his character the sense that he's looking this way, basically. And then he's got this nice smile on these character, and then the chin, adding a lot of character to these little faces that he's having us build. There we go, a little bit of detail for this guy. Have the hair kind of going out in a crazy way, and then roughing in that form. So we developed a face like that. Now let's see what's on the next page real quick. Okay, so we got a lot of iterations of this to show more extreme ways that we can exaggerate the sphere. So let's just do a couple of these. We have about 4 more minutes, around that 12-minute video. We're going to go with this top left one and not worry too much about it, but we'll draw one iteration of each one of these and just build upon it. You could do both of these. This is more, at this point, to show the process of how to construct these. So at this point, we just have a sphere, but how are we going to show that that sphere, that face that's going to be overlaid over the sphere as we draw it, is looking in a specific direction? Well, what we do is use those axis lines that Andrew Loomis is talking about. So we draw this axis line, and then we draw this severe horizontal axis line. And if we take this line to represent the line where the eyes are in the character, then of course this character automatically is looking down this way, which is you can see how this technique would really help you to plan a face. So we roughen the nose, we roughen the cheeks here, and have fun with it. Don't overthink it. That's it. And then we have the little chin here. And now we're going to go with this secondary line that he's producing, these characteristics he's producing. So we're going to put the little eyes here. And then we put another little eyes here. We'll just do this guy up here in the left corner to start with this. And then on this line, since this is the front of the face and the midline of the face, we can draw the hair. coming out of here. This guy's very interesting. He's got a little tuft of hair coming right out of the top of his head. And then you can see that he's roughing in this little line on the sides where what would be what you can't see, which has been covered by the side of the face, is actually these two symmetrical lines where the ears come from. So we can rough those in and pretend like there's a line behind this over here, and then pull the ear out of that point and have fun with it. Draw a little character. Think about what you have seen in people's faces, because really everybody's face has a lot of character to it. There's a lot of different faces out there, and I think he tends to pick characters that look a little older because older faces tend to have a lot more character to them. So I'm going to add a little bit of character referencing this to this. Is a little bit of creativity. He hasn't told us to ink exactly over this in this case, but you can see a lot of detail in these characters. But just to tie back in with what we've done before, this character is so much looking down that you can barely see the pupils in his eyes, but you can see that. And that's to have fun with it and understand that with this sphere technique, you can really define which direction the face is looking in. And draw a little face there, and little cheeks. We'll follow his technique with this little cleft chin. It's kind of a fun way of doing it. And then just adding a little bit of detail to the ear. And you can see how that is a pretty fun way of drawing faces. A little detail of this hair popping out of here, and give it an overall contour. So this head is very much looking down, and we've been able to achieve that because of the sphere technique that Andrew Loomis works with. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you do, give it a like and let us know in the comments what you think and what kind of things would you like us to focus on as we continue with this book by Andrew Loomis, and what we can learn by drawing with Andrew Loomis. Thank you for accompanying me in this video. God bless you guys, and I hope you have a good rest of the day.